This is the DeMaio Report.
The president and vice president will meet with families of the victims of the mass shooting.
The story behind the story.
The Orlando shooter and his wife exchanged text messages during the nightclub rampage.
CIA Director John Brennan told the Senate Intelligence Committee that progress has been made in the fight against ISIS, but he cautioned the group remains
formidable, resilient, and largely cohesive enemy.
And now, here's Carl.
There's been a big development today in that lawsuit filed by the state of Texas against the Obama administration trying to stop the resettlement of Syrian refugees into the state of Texas. A federal judge threw out the lawsuit. Joining me on the DeMaio Report to break down what happened and what's going to happen next is Byron Henry. He's a legal expert. Byron, thanks for swinging by.
Great to be with you, Carl.
So is this the end of the road now that a federal judge threw the lawsuit out, or can the Texas Attorney General appeal this up to the Supreme Court?
Well, the Attorney General can certainly appeal it. The appeal would, of course, go to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals before it went to the United States Supreme Court. The judge in the Northern District that dismissed the case on a motion by the federal government basically held that although the Refugee Act does give the states, requires some consultation and some notice, and the state's supposed to kind of have a seat at the table, which is what this lawsuit was all about, if you remember. They were basically resettling these refugees in Texas without any prior notice to the state, without any idea where these people were coming from, whether they had been vetted, and where they were going to go. And so the state of Texas filed this lawsuit, hopefully to try to get a seat at the table and just get notice and some sort of consultation from the federal government before these refugees were let in. And the federal judge, who is a conservative federal judge appointed by George W. Bush, basically said, we understand you have these rights under this statute to be consulted, but you can't sue the federal government for not basically consulting with you before they settle these refugees. So that was the basis of the dismissal. So Texas is basically left with the hope that the federal government complies with the provisions of the law, which says that they should let Texas have some notice and say in how these refugees are settled.
We haven't seen the Obama administration really take serious some of these laws. They kind of pick and choose what they do and do not want to comply with. So on the same day that the CIA director confirms that ISIS is using refugee flows to infiltrate countries, including the United States, what in the world was this federal judge thinking? I mean, I know that you're a lawyer and you look for the case law and the legal justification. Do you think that this judge is on solid footing?
I think the judge is on mainly solid footing. And I'll tell you, remember, just because they say the state of Texas, which is what the judge said, doesn't have a private cause of action to sue the federal government to enforce compliance, doesn't mean the judge is saying that the federal government should not comply with these provisions. In other words, some of these things are just basically discretionary, but believed by Congress that these steps should be taken, but the federal government is the one that has the final say. So the federal judge is simply saying that Texas can't sue as a party against the federal government regarding these refugees. He's not saying it's a good idea to do this, and he's certainly not saying the law doesn't have these provisions in it. And basically, just as a matter of common courtesy, the state of Texas is not on the best of terms with the Obama administration, but as a matter of common courtesy between two sovereigns, you would think that if someone's going to bring in foreigners and settle them in your state, that you would at least let the state know this is coming, this is where they're going to be, and this is how they've been vetted. So as a matter of policy, you would hope the federal government, just as a matter of common sense, would follow those provisions. But all the judge said today was that the state of Texas cannot sue as a private party to enforce these provisions.
All right, Byron Henry, with the unfortunate news out of the state of Texas that lawsuit does not look like it's going to be able to stop the flow of these refugees. Appreciate you swinging by and breaking it down for us. There you have it.